What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of We Are Just Making It. I'm your host, Amir.
Co-host Ali.
And go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, guys? I'm Rell Rugely. Nice to be here.
So, backstory on how Rell and all of this is all happening, because I'm sure no one really knows or maybe doesn't care. But
I'd love to know how this came about.
So it's another case of a social media friend. So he started following from my TikTok, I believe it was, and started commenting. And I was like, oh, I love his content. I like his food content. But he just basically started commenting. It was like, love showing support just as a friend. Yeah. And then he started growing. And I was like, oh, I want to be a part of that growth. Oh, I love showing support. And then that was also the time where I was still trying to make friends in Austin. And so I followed him back. And then my man has just literally 10x'd himself over the past year. Like, his growth hasn't happened in something like, over time. In the past year, he has put his big boy pants on, tightened the belt strap, and just went to work. And I was like, okay, hold up, pause. We got to talk about this. So now he's here on the We Are Just Making It podcast.
Let's go.
So, Rell, I'll tell you basically a little bit about like what the podcast is, so that way you know how to move forward and answer these questions and just kind of interact with us. Basically, we just want to give you the space to be able to talk about the hardships of becoming an influencer, stepping into it, how scary it might be, how hard it is to make money in the industry, and then understand who was the man before this and what ultimately got you here. The first question that we ask every single guest is, have you made it?
Absolutely not.
You haven't made it?
No, I don't feel like it. What's my idea of making it is like, I'm able to retire my mom. I'm able to help out a family member here and there where they need it. Like, that's my idea of making it. I very much feel like I'm still on the come up.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my honest answer.
So if you were to say, like, you could change one how old are you?
30. I'll be 30 this year.
Okay, so if you could change one thing stepping into the big 3-0, what would it be?
Honestly, my consistency. I feel like that's an area where I lack in multiple different ways, but I'm able to like get some leadway in some areas of my life, and then I kind of fall off. I'm somebody who feels like I need instant gratification sometimes, and if I don't see that right away, I'm like, something's wrong, or I got to pivot. I need to figure out something else. Yeah.
So when you stepped into like the influencer realm, digital marketing, social media marketing, all of that, it's just like, it's a beast in itself to be able to like put yourself out there, but also create and then build a community, but still have an aesthetic that's like marketable. You're balancing a lot of swords and hoping for growth, because social media isn't something where there is instant gratification. Granted, you'll get like a follower or two a day, but when the overarching goal is 10,000 to show like, hey, I actually have validity in what I'm doing, when you're only picking up 20 followers but you're losing 10 and you're constantly playing this game, it's really tough. So what made you start to go into that? Because you said you were in broadcast.
Yes. Yeah, so full transparency, day job, I'm a social media manager in government. So city of Round Rock, just like 15, 20 minutes north.
Oh, is that why you made that Round Rock video?
Yeah, that was my job.
Dude, that was such a good video.
That's my job. So it's doing that, but with being consistent with content, that's again an area I lacked in. So I told myself, all right, listen, you've had strides here and there, but nothing's like sticking just yet. What can you do that's going to be easy enough for you to produce over and over? To where you can be consistent, because that's the only way you're going to see any growth as a content creator in general. And food was the easiest thing. I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't have to be on camera all the time. I don't always have to worry about how I look completely. I can tell people about a restaurant. I'm a huge foodie. I grew up watching the Food Network. Like, I can describe it in a way to where people are able to understand and connect with it, or at least say more than just this is good or I didn't like it, And I feel like that's what started connecting with people. Because when you're reading reviews online, you can see some comments and stuff, but it's different when you have that extra media form of showing them close-up shots of the food, talking about the dining experience, how long the wait time was, what the staff was like. All of those extra explanations help to really capture an audience. And I started to realize that very early on with putting out the content. So I just rinsed and repeated the formula with that.
So when it comes to food, obviously, if you know Keith Lee is, right?
Yeah.
I know you know who
For
Keith
sure,
Lee is.
yeah.
Like he's the godfather of food reviews right now. I don't know if he pioneered it, but that's who started it. So one thing that Keith has done really well is it's his authentic, genuine opinion, and he always prefaces it. I don't mean any harm. I do not want anything negative to happen to these businesses if I give my opinion. Would you say you've kind of taken that same approach, or would you say you're more on the ends of, if I'm promoting a business, it's because I like the business?
Yeah, I would say I agree with two different points you made there. So yes, I would say that I promote a business because I like them. I also am very honest, but I do it in more of a sugar-coated way, I would say. And it doesn't change my opinion. It doesn't mean that something is nasty and then I'll communicate that it tastes good, right? But I'm saying that I understand why some people might like it. For example, I don't like peanut butter. Like, I know that's probably
Really?
Yeah, I know that's crazy. People always like, I can't stand.
It's not that you're not allergic to it. You
I'm
just
not
don't like
allergic. I used to lie as a kid and say I was to get cheese crackers in daycare instead. But no, I just genuinely don't like it. But I
Okay.
get how some people do. So that's just an example of different taste buds, right? So I'm not gonna like everything that you like and vice versa. So I think it's important to include the why on that. I think Keith Lee is great for being Keith Lee too. Like, he does give you descriptions, and people know his brand is to be brutally honest. He can be a family member, and, you know, with food or something, he's going to tell the truth. I'm still telling the truth, but I'm giving you more about the experience of the actual establishment. It's not often that I take things to go or like eat at home. His opinion is him, like in his car, and you're getting just those straight facts. I'm trying to tell more about the experience, especially since I'm local to Austin. I'm from Austin. I kind of know these areas. I've
Born and raised?
Here. Yeah, born and raised. So it's more about like what you can expect here, especially being a person of color, since there aren't a whole bunch of us here.
And we're gonna dive into that.
Yeah,
we're gonna dive into
so
that.
I'll keep it short on that. But I want people to know that it's more about like the experience here, and we're definitely highlighting the food because that's why we're there in the first place. But yeah, so always honest. I just kind of give the blow more easily, I would say.
And what's it like being? What's it like for you having your partner be a part of that? Because obviously it's really hard for you to film yourself, and so when he's around, you kind of get the opportunity to like have an experience. Is he open to that, or is it like he believes that's work, and then he's like, but I also want to come back and it just be us without a camera?
Yeah, Tyler is very helpful, I will say. He has an eye for like great aesthetics. I made the content like before we even got together and started dating, and it was much harder without him. So, but it's like I come from media, so I know how to like finesse it, you know, but I can't lie and say that it's not easier with him around.
100%.
As simple as like, hey, can you double tap this? I need to make sure this is in focus. Like, just having a second opinion, a second person there to eat the food and then like have their opinion on the food as well helps. I don't feel like he sees it as work because we kind of built a system to where we've incorporated it into date nights. So it'll be like, okay, we know all this food is coming out. I have a system within myself before I get there. Like, I'm ordering these things unless they come out with something new. So I'm able to check those boxes off, get the shots, and then since I'm mostly doing voiceovers, I'm able to like, okay, cool, put the camera away, and now we're eating.
That's awesome.
Sometimes it's a little bit more difficult when like dessert is involved. Obviously, you wait around for that, but we built a pretty efficient system over the past year.
And that's really important. I mean, you're gonna start to learn it. Ali's been wanting to get into content, but he is still trying to figure out what his niche is.
Yeah.
And so one thing you'll realize is sometimes when it comes to the experience, a lot of people think that you've got your camera and your phone out the entire time. And in reality, like, a seasoned person doesn't want to do that. We still want to be present for the experience, but we still want to make sure we get the right shot. So it's kind of like you go through what's called a shot list, and you say, okay, I need to get this, this, and this, and you get those as quickly as you can, so that way you have the rest of the evening or the event to enjoy.
I always wonder that because I see a bunch of influencers, like, they vlog like their whole day.
Yeah.
Like, not just a meal, but their whole day. And I always wonder, like, one, doesn't that get tiring?
Yes.
And then two, like, when are you ever present in the moment? I mean, you both are influencers, pretty successful. I mean, you give me your opinion. I feel like other people would like to know.
I think we probably have different takes on it because of what you do versus what I do. Yours is more moment specific, whereas mine is, like you were saying, general, and it's just kind of like created throughout the day. But I feel like there's probably still some overlap.
Yeah, if I were doing a vlog, I would definitely put my business hat on and try and ask myself what parts of this day are going to be most interesting. Like, you have to do that just to be efficient with your time.
Yeah.
We didn't even get to like memory cards, battery life. Like, that's a whole thing. Yeah, like there's a reason why there's usually teams behind what we see in everyday media.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's a balance, because you also have to remind yourself in the moment to be organic, to not overthink things. Like being media trained, like essentially with my degree, I would have been like a newscaster. That's like the ideal role. That's what my peers have gone on to do and like are very successful at it, right? So it's like you speak to the camera a different way. You guys know like the weatherman voice, and like when someone is at 9 o'clock at you.
And this is
exactly, and like that's not natural. So that's why I said even before this, like I'm taking a shot to relax. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be more of myself. So you tell yourself the same things when you're doing a vlog, I think, if you're going to be more efficient. There are some people who just feel like they're their authentic, outgoing selves 100% of the time. And sure, they can have the camera on at any moment and do that. But that's not the case for most people, I would say.
Yeah. And then for me, it's more or less like, it's almost the same premise. If you're going throughout the day, you figure out what's important, but you also figure out how to tell the story, because a lot of times when you create a vlog, you only shoot what is important, but you don't tell the story of getting to that important thing. And so me focusing on YouTube, that's one thing that I'm starting to learn, is instead of just creating a bunch of B-roll, because that's what social media, Instagram vlogs are.
Long form content for you.
But it's a bunch of B-roll shots. So it's just bow, 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 like, and it's just clipped together, which is called B-roll. Whenever you get to YouTube, you have your B-roll, which helps tell the story, but then there needs to be points in it where you're actually getting the viewers to slow down, observe, listen, be present, make them feel as if they're in that moment with you, talk to them, and then to tell the story of you going to the next place, it's B-roll. And so there's different crafts, but to answer your question, you can be present. It just takes the ability to think forward, right? So when you're creating that video, you just figure out, okay, the overarching mission of today would be this podcast. So how can everything that I do tell the story before and after about this podcast? And so as you're going through your day, you're present, but you're going, oh, this is gonna help me tell that story. Capture that moment.
I've seen you do that when we're out and about. You're like, oh, hey, get a video of me checking out these shoes or something like that for like a local shop or something like that. So that does make a lot of sense.
Because ultimately what content creation is each person's version of storytelling. We're not sitting by a fire anymore. We're sitting in front of a 18-inch screen or whatever it is, and we're sharing stories like that.
Really good analogy, yeah. You just come up with that?
I did.
On the spot.
You're good.
Hey.
You're good. You're good. Okay.
So you've built a community in Austin, and has the community that you've built, you got a girl group, and I'm very envious of the fact that you're a part of this girl group, not because they're girls, but because every single one of them is creators. And I'm like, can I be your friend? Like, I just want to hang out with you guys, but it's quite literally a all girl group with a growl. And I'm like, dang, like I'll never get invited to any of these events, but it's so cool. I follow Raven and she follows me back because I love her content. But did that group come from content, or was that a group that you already knew and then you were like, oh, y'all do content, this really inspires me to double down on my content?
I would say a bit of both. When it comes to Raven specifically, I've known more of Raven since like 8th grade, just through like when MySpace and Tumblr was like a big deal, and then we later connected and started working together post college. We went to the same university, knew the same people, moved back.
What university do you go to?
University of North Texas.
Okay. UNT?
Yeah.
Hey, okay, that's why you're in, broadcasting and journalism, they're very good.
Like their thing.
Yeah.
So, and then we started working together. She like contract hired me for a year to be a photographer on her team. So my media background is like kind of my bad. My media background is like all over the place with like what I've actually done. So to answer the question, it's a mix of like organically, some people have grown over time. I have a friend who was like under me at 5,000 followers at one point, and now she's about to hit 50 just because she locked in. This happened within like a span of 1 to 2 months. Who's also part of the same friend group, and then you just meet other people who do the same thing, and it connects that way. I have friends that are creators and we're like, hey, we should like meet up, let's just have lunch. And then we formed working relationships and then later friendships based off of that, because we both do social media.
Yeah.
So, and that's my idea of when it happens in the best way. I'm really big on like organic relationships, or even if it's not the slow organic process, intentionally, because there are some people who will want to hang out in it solely because it's business, and that's fine. Like, I like when they say it's business, because I treat my friends a certain way, anybody that I care about. So if someone is like acting like it's kind of business related, or if they're acting like it's more of a friendship level but they really want the business out of it, that's going to make me switch around and look at them a bit differently.
What do you say for the people that are like, they want both, like they want the business and they want the friendship? But so like for me, a lot of times when I create my friendships, there's obviously we all want to keep our circle of people that inspire us, that are like-minded and things of that nature, but at the same time you want to be working around people that are great people.
There's a value add,
right? So it's like we all inspire each other, but we all know that like once this goes down, we can still have a conversation, go out, and it's like we flip that switch.
Right.
Are those the friendships you value, or is it more or less you want work friendship?
Yeah, I do value those type of friendships. I think I'm speaking more so of experiencing the bad side of it.
Oh,
so it's more of like a defense mechanism. There's certain things that I try and look out for, like, are
they going to abuse me?
You know what I mean? Yeah. Are they going to abuse me? Is this going to go left? Are they going to take advantage? More so, that's like where I've gotten a short end of the stick, and I'm like, that's not cool, because I wouldn't handle you that way. But I don't really have that problem often. I can't say that I've had that with any of my most meaningful interpersonal friendships. So. That's how I answer that.
And then,
No, I was like, interesting.
Dude, I'm grilling.
Yeah, no, this is great. I feel like that SpongeBob meme was like, write that down. It's Patrick doing like tic-tac-toe on a notepad. That's what I feel like.
But it's great because he's offering so many like nuggets about what it truly means to be an influencer. Because a lot of people, regardless of your following size, like these are all things that we go through. Like people who I know are aspiring to be creators are like, hey, I want to start hanging out with you. And while I am open to making new friends, and I'm the friendliest person in the world, I mean, you know that, at the same time, the first thing that pops into my head is this going to be one of those things where you benefit from me and then I quite frankly get nothing from you? And like it's just you asking me questions and you wanting to be a part of series. Oh, you should have tagged me. And then I'm like, pause.
Crazy.
Like, did you just want to do a couple follower grabs and then try and pursue your own thing? And so that's, regardless of your size, that's kind of like why you see when influencers hit a certain point, like they only associate with other people who are about that level, because it's like you can't benefit from me, I can't benefit from you. Maybe there's like some cross-pollination from like people seeing that we've collaborated, but it's not like you are all of a sudden going to elevate me and I'm going to elevate you. Being a Black creator in Austin, I've got a plethora of experience and opinions on it, but what has it been like for you, especially being a part of an industry? Me being a creator it's a little bit softer because I'm so broad in general, but you right now and previously are a part of an industry. How has that been for your journey?
I feel like my experience has been different from most people who are like brand new to Austin. Growing up here, most of the people that I know are Black. So I have a diverse looking group of friends for sure, but I've never really struggled to find like the Black community, because it's always been that naturally because I'm from here. Being a creator here, I feel like a lot of us are more aware of it. There have been like group chats formed more recently that we're like, okay, we are all real life friends. How do we expand this? And like, how do we create events and make this bigger? I went to a YouTube creators event recently. It was for gamers. I'm not a gamer, by the way, but I just got invited as a +1. So it was cool to join and meet a bunch of other creators there. And a lot of them were people of color, not just Black. So that was awesome. But I feel like it's been a good experience. We've been able to connect and then kind of acknowledge like, hey, there's a problem here. And so now we all communicate, hey, this brand reached out, they're having this event, did anyone get this email? Like trying
to figure out if they're just inviting one person, or they're really understanding that, hey, there's a community of creators that are not just
melanin blessed.
I feel like maybe outside of the group chat, those conversations are had one-on-one. Speaking about the girls specifically, because they have a bunch of beauty deals and stuff.
Yeah.
But when we're speaking about it generally, it's more of like sending a screenshot of the email. Do you guys want me to forward your email if they're looking for more people? It's really like more resourceful and more of trying to share the knowledge, because I feel like being a minority creator or a person of color, there's a lot that's withheld. People don't really talk about like the numbers as much specifically, but in these groups we're trying to do more of that, because we know that people who aren't people of color do that and like clear the roster for the deals. And we want to make sure that, hey, we're not the token black person in these groups as well. One of my friends is signed to an agency to where they charge an extra fee if she's the only black person a part of a campaign.
Ooh,
Love that.
That's nice.
Yeah, there's a specific name for it, and I can't think of it right now, but it is a thing and it exists and it's worked. So
dang.
yeah.
And so building that community, what's the plan for you guys? Is it expanding outside of that group chat, or is it like you guys are hosting bigger dinners that maybe I can get an invite to?
No, for sure. Yeah, for sure. One's coming up pretty soon. And then I'm sure I can like plug you in. You guys follow each other. Raven's having one. So she started this. I'm talking about at Rebranding Leads, by the way.
Yeah.
You guys probably know her. I'm like,
we're talking about her as if she's just like another
household name everyone knows.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, she loves to host. And so she's been doing a series of events. There was something for Mother's Day, and then the next one is for creators. And we've been talking about that too. Like, am I supposed to be talking about this on camera?
It won't come out. This will come out. And
you can even keep that down. Okay. That's funny. I don't think she'll mind. But that's been the conversation, because it went from like 5 people to like, okay, we know these other girls who are also our genuine friends. Like, we feel bad that they're not included, because it started for a South by Southwest thing for people who were getting South by Southwest opportunities. And it was more like, hey, who's going to what? Because we'll be out there all day. You want to be my +1? I can switch off with you. Like that value exchange. That's where it started. But then we kept talking after that. We're like, okay, this is something a little bit bigger. Let's include more people. And now we're like, there's so many more people that we think will be a great fit for this. How do we do this and make it make sense? Like, without it being overwhelming of text, because I'm sure we all have the thread muted. Like, do we go to like a group me? Like, what's going to be the best platform for that? So that's not going to be up to me to decide. I'm not like the planner for this, right? I'll have my input as well. But I think everyone that's in the group is heavily supportive of bringing more people in, especially like black creators.
Do you think having a group that's so supportive like that, and you can answer this too, accelerates your growth, not only as a person, but from a social media aspect?
I think it does in some ways, and it can when like audiences are aligned. For example, I've been friends with Raven for a very long time. I have another friend named Owen who's a very successful influencer for a very long time, and I worked as their photographer for a while. So it wasn't an instant transfer like you get exposure and you automatically get all of their followers. Like, I was still floating around 7,000 followers for like 2 years, right? And it wasn't until I started doing my own thing to where I literally have doubled that, Yeah. So I'm sure you'll get a trickle of followers over just by association. But at the end of the day, it's like being promoted on a commercial. Like, you have to still sell yourself to them, give them a reason as to why they should follow you. The exposure is not enough, because they fell in love with the person that you're associated with for whatever reason, for whatever value that person has given them. So you have to do the same thing and offer value as well. Now, you could think it through. Like, I could have thought a little bit more like, I'm coming here today. This is exposure to another platform. Like, what all do I want to like sell to them? Like, it could have been that. It wasn't that today for me, but I think it's important to kind of have on that business mind whenever you are getting opportunities for exposure, just to make sure, like, if that's your end goal, to, bring some new people on to your group, your support group, then you do that way as well.
I think it all comes back to what you said, that value exchange. Like, if you're filling up my cup and I'm filling up yours, that's such a good relationship to have.
Right.
So, I mean, I think that's super valuable.
Everyone wants to avoid a parasitic relationship.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And when it comes to me for like the community aspect, the only thing that I really get out of it is kind of the inspiration to keep going. A lot of my friends, like Matt, a lot of big creators that have made a living for this, I don't hang out with them because of the fact that they can maybe influence or I can get some followers, or because I can get features in their content. It's quite literally because every day I'm next to him, it's a reminder that, hey, he's doing it, he's making a living, he's busting his ass, you're seeing him bust his ass. You can do it if you bust your ass.
Absolutely.
And so for me, that's really what that community comes down to, is just like being around people who are doing exactly what I'm doing, going through the same struggle. Because as a creator, again, you go through the same stuff. There is no like secret recipe and one day you just wake up. Like, it's trials, tribulations, putting yourself out there. And some people who have woken up as overnight successes, those are the ones that typically like burn out, because you're constantly trying to figure out, how can I continue this growth? How can I keep reaching for the stars? And eventually you've got to be fine with just like sitting on the moon, because the moon is still a really great place. It gives you opportunity to brand, structure, work on family, like do things, and not have to worry about how am I going to stay relevant. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
When it comes to this is a topic that I really am excited about. When it comes to being Black in Austin and growing up here, I mean, obviously, have you watched Summer House Martha's Vineyard?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
So like one of the premises of me going on the show was me exploring my Blackness and finding community within that. Not being from Austin, obviously being from Arlington, Texas, I know where all the Black people are. That's my home. But being in Austin, it's a different experience for me. What is that like? Where do you see the same thing that I'm seeing? Do you see my life and you're like, I have no idea what he's talking about? Mm-hmm. Like, fill me in. Let us know, because right now the only thing that I know about Black people in Austin is Soho House.
Okay.
And that was why I was so excited to have a membership there, because I was like, these are bam.
Yeah. I feel like I can understand what your perspective might be of that, because it has changed over the years. Do you guys know ACC, the campus where Highland Mall, do you know, does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay, so when that was an actual mall, Texas Relays was a big thing. So Texas Relays, the track and field
Like,
thing.
I was like, the Texas
Relays?
Yeah. Okay, and you guys are from, so y'all probably traveled down, whatever, you guys are familiar, right?
I went to the Texas Relays to pole vault.
Okay, cool. So then it's like that being taken away felt like a huge dig to the Black and urban community, because we're talking about where people gather in the parking lot, like get their cars all clean, souped up, driving through, like hanging out and just gather as a community. And I felt like once that was taken away, it was just like a rolling effect. I was at UNT during the time, but over the years when I would come back and visit, there's like all this new development, new buildings, and then watching the east side specifically transform was insane.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to think of a specific road, probably Chacon and Rosewood, somewhere in that area. You normally wouldn't hang out there. Like, there would be like, you know, people who were dealing with some life issues on the street, like, you know, in that area. You just kind of would drive through. Never felt dangerous, but it just wasn't what it is now, to where it's like these nice, beautiful houses, these new businesses. It's insane. And I feel like you'll see that in my social media comments. If I start off a video with being Black in Austin or mentioning that somehow our Austin has changed, one of my first videos to like get a lot of views was a review at Paperboy, and I started it off with that. And I mentioned like this used to be like the hood, one of the hood areas growing up. Flooded in the comments. It absolutely was. I can't believe they changed it. It became to where the topic wasn't about the food as much. And I'm like, this is why this is contributing to the shares, you know, because there's a bit of relatability. A lot of people felt acknowledged within that. So I can definitely see what you guys see if it's difficult to find the Black people here.
And being that I just moved here back in August of last year. You guys have been here longer than me, so I'm sure you've seen a whole larger community than I have. But again, I've seen them at Soho House or like the gym.
But that's where we freaking is like, we're so central to Austin. Yeah. And so in terms of community is where families, where like people have lived. And I've never ventured really that north of where we are right now. I typically live a pretty downtown lifestyle, living in apartment complexes. Not saying that I've lived an expensive downtown. No, not that. But I've just never ventured to like where families are. And so me being 20 something and not being a part of families, the only thing that I know is, okay, social scenes like clubs, restaurants, gyms, and there isn't that community. It's not like you're going to walk into Collective and there's going to be like a group of young African Americans or minorities in general being like, hey, let's set up a pickleball league just for like us to feel like we have a community within a community.
Right.
And so that's one thing that I've always been envious of people who are local to Austin that have been born into communities and know where the communities are. I'm like, let us know. Like, I'm trying to go. Like,
got it.
I try and show up to events that are hosted for Black people and Black spaces, so that way I can start to be a part of those communities. But at the same time, I'm also like, dang, they watch the show. Are they going to be like, this dude's corny, he's trying? And I'm like, no, genuinely, like, the show aside, because don't even get me started about that. But the show aside, I'm like, who doesn't want to be in a space where they're surrounded by people who look like them and have lived a shared experience? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah. I think that's the value of, shout out again to Raven for like throwing house parties, is getting everybody together. Like, we don't have enough of these different experiences where people feel invited. And it really is just that, like, we're literally kicking shit, talking all day. Just like, I feel like a lot of the times it's not really about industry stuff. That may come up, but we're talking about like how your day went.
Yeah, real life.
You know what I mean? My friends have kids and stuff like we're bonding over those type of experiences. So there's definitely value within that shared experience.
Yeah. And then, so you've watched the show.
Mm-hmm.
What questions do you have about the show?
So I feel like I am not the average viewer because I understand production.
Thank God.
In a different way. I understand shooting for like, let's say, I don't know, 16 hours a day, and then cutting that down to a scene. Because you guys film for like 2 weeks?
We filmed for 3 weeks.
For 3 weeks?
So that's the thing that a lot of people aren't aware of, is all the viewers that only see what they see and believe what they see. They're like, you're only there for 2 weeks. It's not that exhausting. You film from what looks like 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. You have a great time. And I'm like, yo, we had a roll call at like 7 a.m. They were like, hey, we got to get you going.
Right.
And we don't stop filming till 3 a.m.
Right.
And then by the time that cameras have gone down, like, you're going to be up for like an hour or two because you want some downtime to be able to like decompress, be present with your castmates and be like, dang, today was, and like, we'll sit there and dissect and break down the day and be like, yeah, that's probably going to make it. That's not going to make it. And it's a lot. And it's tough because you can't communicate or convey that in any way.
Right.
So you just kind of let people be like, this is the fact. And I'm like, it's not, but okay.
Yeah.
Because once you fight one fire, like 6 more pop up behind that, because now they all want your response to them too. And it's just like, I got to a point where I was just like, I can't say anything. I just have to let people do what they will, let this run its course, and then hope that I don't do or say something that is going to reignite or trigger.
And that's so funny because he's such a confrontational.
Dude, I'm so confrontational.
So
a Leo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. and it's so funny because I know he's just going through these like, like, I know he just wants to get involved.
I do.
So
I do.
kudos to the self-control there, but I wouldn't be surprised if he pops up on like TMZ in a fight or something.
Yeah. Responding, defending yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to do that. I used to try and like give response, and that's how I know I'm speaking from experience. And then after a while, I was like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
What is going on?
I will never see these people.
No. And that's the thing, is all the people too that you see in person, like, there's always going to be negative feedback. But no one you see in person that talks to you is going to walk up to you and stick a middle finger in your face and like say, I hate you, or I hate your content.
Yeah.
They're just going to be like, hey, I really loved you on the show. And I'm like, oh, I thought you were about to throw an egg at me. Sick.
Yeah.
Sick.
I feel like watching it through that lens and with that understanding, I understand like, hey, these producers have a job to do, right?
100%.
The whole goal, this is still business at the end of the day. So it's like the goal for the show is to be successful. They're going to take the most entertaining clips and the clips that they can fulfill their storyline,
right?
That's going to make sense, and that's what they're going to show to the world, right? So I don't watch it and I see one thing happen, I'm like, dang, I hate this person now. Like, I'm not reacting like that. I'm like, that's like an interesting interaction, right?
Yeah.
Because there's so much that goes into it. So I loved it. I'm a fan. Season 1, season 2.
Were you sad that there wasn't a renewal?
I don't feel like it's gonna go away completely. I was disappointed for sure, and I'm like, another one, because there's other shows that I watch, like HBO Sweet Life. It just seems like it's back, you know?
Yeah.
And I have 2 comments. I'm like, I get on Twitter, which I see a lot of feedback that I don't agree with, but I get on Twitter and I see people complain about, oh yeah, another black show being canceled. But I was just texting my friend the other day, who works in media for People magazine. I'm like, where's the problem? Is the issue that like the networks aren't interested, or like are people on Twitter but not giving the show the views? Like, where is it at? Because I feel like if you're gonna complain, like, I'm not opening my mouth if it's something that I haven't contributed to bettering. I just won't speak on certain things. Like, I wouldn't have a comment. I wouldn't feel away. I wouldn't be sad. But I'm a viewer, so I'm like, I wanted to see more of this, right?
Yeah.
When people are like hating from outside the club or having their opinion from outside the club, I feel like you're not really a part of that conversation because you didn't contribute. But I definitely was disappointed of the news of it being paused.
I mean, the feedback that we got, because when we all got on a call, we all found out, and we were like, a lot of us were hurt. And I asked a question. I was like, why? Why is it being paused? Because no one was asking that. Everyone was just like, this is bullshit. Like, I don't get it. You guys screwed us on marketing, which they did. And there's a whole article that was released on the marketing.
They did not.
They screwed us on marketing. We didn't get marketed at all. And
for the season 2?
Yeah. There was people that didn't even know we had filmed. And like every other, like The Valley, every other show that had came out, you knew the second they started filming, you knew the cameras were up.
Yeah.
People were like, did they go to the Vineyard? And we're like, yeah, we went to the Vineyard. And so I asked a question. I was like, why? And it ultimately came down to formatting, they said. And formatting being one of the things that I've always struggled with is our show, we just kind of plop into the Vineyard. There really isn't any before, after, or kind of like telling a story while we're there.
Life update after, before, like stuff like that.
Right, which Summer House Hamptons does a really good job at. You get to follow them going back and forth between New York, the Hamptons. You meet their grandmothers, you meet their parents, you watch them all have those conversations. Whereas like we just show up, we party. It's really hard for an audience, from what I think, to attach to that. Okay. It's really hard for you to be like, I need more of this, because I want to know more about their life. I want to know about Donald and Preston's relationship. I want to know, what are Amir and Natalie actually like? Because clearly if Amir is going post interviews saying, this isn't what we're like at all, this isn't who we are, there's a disconnect from what the producers are showing and what is actually real life. And so when they said it was the format, I was like, it's exactly what I think. I think that there isn't enough support in order for them to really make this into a project that has, quite frankly, been around for 8 or 9 seasons already. And they're really having to, shell out a lot in the hopes of it paying off big. So, but we're going to pivot. We'll be right back after this quick message from one of our not sponsors. Today's not sponsor, but should be sponsoring, is Barcode Water. Barcode Water is located here in the Collective. It is an electrolyte water that has amazing merch and tastes really well. Barcode Water.
Shout out Barcode.
Welcome back, guys. This is the We Are Just Making It podcast. I'm your host, Amir.
Co-host Ali.
And
sorry.
No, you're good. And
what's up, guys? I'm Rell.
And today we are diving into Rell, who is an influencer located here in Austin, Texas. But he's not just an influencer. He's an Austin local who is quite literally went from 0 to 100, both in his following count and his presence in Austin. So the first part of the podcast, we dove into a little bit about Rell, who he is, the community that he's built, the reason why he's doing what he's doing. And now this is the part of the podcast where Ali kind of takes point and asks you more about the business side, the monetary side. You said you haven't made it yet, and your plan is to eventually be able to take care of your family. So we're going to figure out how you plan on doing that.
Yeah.
First things first, Rell, what's your Instagram name? Can you shout it out real quick?
For sure. It is at Rell Rugely, RellRugely.
All right, you heard him. Go look at his page and tell me what you think, because I'm starving.
I think
right
I'm
now.
hungry.
I looked at his page. I was like, oh, this is not good. He has some of the most amazing food on there.
I appreciate
it. If you're watching this, you have your phone handy, obviously not while you're driving, check out his page, and I guarantee your stomach will start growling. But I want to dive into the business side of things. I think it's, your personal life is really interesting, especially being from Austin. And from what I've saw, you're a big foodie. So have you always been like a food person? Is this something that kind of just picked up because, Austin's food life is amazing? Like, give me the background on that.
Yeah. So first off, I was like always eating at restaurants before I started filming it. So that's where it came up. I was like, I just start pulling the camera out and really capturing these moments and telling people about it. I grew up always being in the kitchen with my grandmother.
So you can cook too.
I can. So here's the thing. I feel like because of college, I'm better at like meal prepping, things that are more healthy, making that taste good. Obviously not enough. I haven't cooked at home in like a while because of eating out. It's been a habit. I'm just gonna say where I lived. I'm really close to Whole Foods.
Almost just dropped it. Had people knocking on your door.
It's like, let's think about that. I'm really close to Whole Foods, so it's easy to go there and get like a quick meal versus cooking every day. But yeah, I can tell you about all the Food Network shows, diners, drives, and dine-ins or whatever. I can't remember the exact name.
That's the exact name.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all I watched like growing up, along with like my reality. So like those are like my things. But yeah, always interested in food, and then just started to storytell about it.
Have you ever thought about starting something like Rell's Rex?
I have, and that's so funny that you say that because that's literally the name I just wrote down like 2 days ago.
Oh, dude, we're good
That's
at this.
we're
good at this.
That's smooth.
What is it?
Rell's Rex.
Yeah.
Recommendations?
I don't think I shortened it. I think I wrote down fully recommendations, but Rell's Rex is like easier.
That's the easier for the tagline, but
Yeah.
everything
That's
from like
so good.
Yeah.
I do this.
Yeah. That's
I do
fire.
that.
I love that.
You're the idea guy.
And that
You're
started
good.
from because food wasn't my original plan. I've tried a few different niches for content.
Which niches?
Do you guys say niche or is it
Niche.
Oh, okay.
Say niche. Is it niche?
I think you're wrong.
Okay.
I made Google pronounce it one time and it did say niche. I'm just saying. So that's Google though.
But Google also pronounces. Oh, I almost gave away my street address too. Google also pronounces my street address wrong. So I don't know if I trust Google or Siri.
Got you. But yeah, so I forgot my point.
You tried different niches.
Right. So when I was freelancing with photography, like I was making content about it a little bit, and I would try like some fashion here and there. I never hit anything that was easy enough or that I was comfortable being on camera enough to just make it consistent and hit it back to back. So that's how we got here. The goal was consistency and it came out of that. But like the overall plan is to kind of grow and expand outside of that. A couple ideas are we go out to eat at dinner. Like, what do you wear to dinner? What fragrance? I want to start capturing those in between moments to capture more of like lifestyle and like give more personality. Because the one complaint that I hear from my friends is like, we know you to be this funny, vibrant person when we talk to you in a relaxed environment, like one-on-one, and you give that sometimes on camera, but it's still talking about a specific subject, not just like a fly on the wall point of view. Yeah.
Your scripts have always been funny.
Thank you. I am a creative writer, so I take pride in that.
You type it out or just off the top of your head?
It depends. Like there are certain videos I could point out to you like, oh, that was off the top. I was short on time. I didn't feel like writing that. I feel like early on it was a lot of writing because I was very intentional with the audience I was trying to capture. And I think a hook is very important. I think saying something funny midway through was very important just to keep that engagement there. I feel like I build a rapport with my audience to where they kind of expect that. And it's more of like a, what's he going to say next?
I love that. Yeah.
If that's true, that's how it works out in my head. That may not be reality, but for some people, they comment on what I said versus the food sometimes. So I feel like it lands with some people.
I got you. Do you have a newsletter or anything?
I don't.
No, that's crazy.
Being that my like 9 to 5 is social media as well, it makes it really hard to fully show up for myself in social media unless I just have that planned out to a T.
Gotcha.
Because at the end of the day, the 9 to 5 is what's paying the bills. So I have to give that the priority. And like hopefully that switches. But yeah, so I don't have any extra like
Man, I would go create like a weekly food letter.
Yeah.
Send out like of your restaurant review. That'd be go.
That would be fire.
Rell's Rex newsletter.
Another
Subscribe.
Where's my notepad?
Check it out. So that's cool.
Yeah.
So I know previously when we talked, you mentioned that you have the idea to rebrand. Like kind of you earlier kind of alluded to like more of your life, right? Getting ready for dinner, what cologne you're wearing, etc. Talk to me about that and why you want to do that.
Yeah, I feel like, well, one, it has to make sense. The root cause and why I want to do it is to monetize a bit more, but then also connect with the bigger audience. I feel like whenever you talk about your personal life and just hit certain topics, like where you grew up, like what your relationship with your parents is like, those certain things kind of allow people to feel like they know you a bit better. And I feel like that connection is very important when you're trying to build an authentic, organic audience, because those are the people that truly support and show up for you. So that's why I kind of want to take on those other niches just to further expand and connect with more people.
Absolutely. And it kind of alludes to what Amir mentioned, like Martha's Vineyard, you really didn't have a background, like he mentioned, like of who you are outside of the show, before the show, your family and stuff like that. So I think that's a really cool concept. Now talk to me about eating at home. Obviously you're a cook, you grew up eating, you're a food guy. Do you prefer cooking at home or do you prefer eating out?
It definitely depends on like the spot. If we're talking about the flavor and stuff of food, I prefer cooking at home because you're gonna be able to doctor things up more to your palate, to your taste buds.
Yeah.
But also for health reasons, like. Man, so before I started really taking food serious, I've always struggled with weight, like up and down. And then I played tennis, so it wasn't affecting me at first. It wasn't as frequent. And then after a while, like I went to the next doctor's visit. They're like, "Hey, what happened? Like the 20 pounds you lost is like back." And I'm like, crap, because I know it's not muscle. You know what I mean? I know I'm saying yes, because at this point I'm like consistency, and I'm also spending a lot of money, so I'm taking on the compensated offers as well to just get more content out, right? And so yeah, I miss meal prepping. I miss cooking at home. I miss being able to control sodium levels, because that's a side that people don't really talk about. I recently connected with like the OG Austin food blogger. Her name's Jane.
Jane?
Yes, yeah.
We've got Jane. I had coffee with Jane, and then I'm hoping to have her on one day.
So she'll be able to tell you a little bit more, but we both agreed that eating out so much is just not good for your gut. Over time, I think Jane has, we've both been told that by like the people are not pediatricians. What the hell is it? Physicians.
Physicians.
Yeah. We've both been told that, by people who are certified. And you have two different body types. Like Jane looks to be in shape. She's slim. You know what I mean? And then you have me on the other side of that spectrum. So it's like, hey, this applies across the board. Like it's just generally not as healthy. So that's why I want to do that. Because before it was more of a weekend thing. But now when these restaurants are having new launches and new menus and stuff, a lot of the availability, especially since most of their traffic is on weekends, is during the week.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard when you want to show up and then support the event. Even if you tell yourself like, oh, I'm just going to taste this or whatever else. Like I had to get over not wasting food, because I grew up not to where like in a household where you had to just clear the plate, but I'm like, I need to finish all of this food. I didn't think to like save it for later. So yeah, it's hard to like navigate that. And you have some people who can just eat whatever they want and not gain the pounds.
No, that's crazy, right, Amir? That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
This dude, I have people come up. I have people come up like, man, he must eat so clean. I'm like, dog. Man. This dude has a burger once a day.
That's
crazy. Last night I went to Wendy's because I played volleyball for like 4 hours. I got a Dave single, large fries, 10-count spicy nugget, Cinnabon rolls, and then I ate half a sleeve of Pringles.
But you play volleyball for 4 hours.
Again, there's parity, folks.
Right.
You play volleyball 4 hours, do what you want.
It's not going to show.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know, my man. Is there anything that you're working on as far as from a business perspective with your friends? I know that you have the group, the community that you guys do. Do you guys
have a name for that?
Ooh, no. Yeah. What is our... I'm going to laugh if someone jumps me after seeing this. They're gonna be like, what are you opening your mouth for? Our group chat is just like Austin creators.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's... Who knows? Like, we would love for it to... It's so unofficial. Yeah. Like, it literally is just like thoughts in the air and like, hey, this is happening.
But you could quite literally be speaking into existence now.
That's true.
Like, in a perfect world, what would that direction be? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's your business plan to take this? Obviously, creating content has been a very lucrative thing for you, but there has to be more. What's the more? What's the big idea? What's the end goal? Your Mount Olympus?
I don't know if I have one right now.
Okay.
That's the honest answer. I haven't sat and thought it through. I'm very bad about living in the moment too much and not thinking ahead. I'm one of those people that I'm like, oh, I'll work better at the last minute. But even approaching 30, it's getting to a point to where it's like, if you have these plans to put systems in place to take care of people, you have to kind of start that.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of us individually have so much going on too. But it would be awesome to collaborate and figure something out to do together, especially for, people in the community.
That'd be a lot of fun. Even if it's just like a newsletter with all of you guys, you know what I mean?
But even then, I think
there you go. Like
he's gonna harp on you about these damn newsletters.
I mean, listen, you got an email list.
It's smart.
Followers, engagement.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, someone's buying your newsletter for $10 million.
I think from like just a personal perspective, like being an outsider looking in. Like even just what you guys have going on now, but hosting it as an event where it's like a $25 ticket and it's, catered food.
Oh yeah, from your favorite places that
different
you've
companies
visited.
are coming out and like providing alcohol, but it's an opportunity to like a mixer. But because you guys have done such a good job, especially Raven's done such a good job showing that she creates these like fun experiences where it's like friends get together. I know if I'm thinking this, there's at least 10 other people thinking like, I want to be a part of that. And if it was in an outdoor event or in a convention or whatever it is, like, I wouldn't necessarily be there for the meet and greet aspect. I'd walk up to all of you guys and be like, hey, I follow most of you guys. Love what you're doing. But at the same time, I would be like, yo, here's my community. Like, I would start meeting people and be like, you follow them? I love their content. Do you do content? Like, and that's where you would start to quite literally facilitate a new community in Austin. But you're also monetizing it because it's $25 a ticket. $25, come network. There's going to be vendors who can promote their brands, their alcohols. You want a vendor spot? Awesome. It's $500 a booth or whatever it is. But again, you're creating a community, and I think that's honestly what Austin is missing in the creator space, is a genuine community for people to collaborate and have genuine good times. You stepping out of food and starting to get more into life. There's a lot of opportunity for you to start working with people who create content about fashion, who create content about being Austin locals and things to do because of that. And it's like the only way that you're gonna get that like quick experience, not that like trials and tribulation shit, is by being a part of those different worlds, figuring out how they're creating, how they're being successful, taking micros of their recipes and applying it to yourself, but also giving them the value add of, hey, if you guys ever get into food or if you get into cooking at home, or like, this is what you should be doing. I would love to cook at home, but I also believe that I need to have a $2 million kitchen and my burners need to be facing, looking a certain way and doing all these things. And then I see people like, oh man, there's this couple, I follow them, I forgot their names. They're a black couple, but he just got on Instagram and TikTok, but he's a chef. Do you know what I'm talking about? Oh, she always does cartwheels and like Louis Vuitton heels and stuff. Oh,
I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about Christy, Sarah, and Desmond.
Yeah, Desmond.
Yeah.
I thought Desmond's like this culinary chef that like makes exquisite food. Exquisite. I still don't even know what he does for like a living. I know he's a chef, but I don't know what he does for a living. But for a while, I was like, the second he starts making content about cooking, it's gonna be in this like either chef's like commercial kitchen, or he's gonna do it in their immaculate house. This man has a Bunsen burner with a propane tank sticking out the side, making foie du gras or whatever, and I'm like, that's it? That's all I need?
That's a really important part though, because a lot of people think the content has to look a certain way before you start to put it out, and that's something that I talked myself out of immediately. Not fully though. I'm still like organizing what I want myself to look like. You know what I mean? Right. But it's, you literally can have those doubts within yourself, get on TikTok and scroll and you see the exact opposite, of what you think it has to be. There are people with millions of followers that cook at home and don't have a brand new kitchen. You know what I mean? They're using whatever else, way much less than what Desmond is working with, right? But just I agree with you with the open concept of I need to be facing the camera, so the girl needs to be right here, like all of that. And the truth is, like, you don't always need that to resonate with people.
A lot of times it's just the story,
the story itself.
It's like how you, like, Desmond can tell the story of him cooking because Christy for so long has raved about how well he cooks. So now people are like, they've wanted him on social media since she became popular, but two, there's been so much buildup and anticipation about it that
alley-oop.
His first video went dummy viral, and you would think this dude is like a culinary master, and he made like French toast. But it went viral like 20 million because people he gained 100,000 followers in the first day. And it was because people just wanted it. So I'm gonna let you get back to the business side. The only thing that I've got from a business perspective is you were talking about buying food when you go, like the spending of it. Can you offer a little bit of transparency on what it's like to be a food creator and how you're able to afford eating out as much as you eat out?
That shit gets expensive, bro.
For sure.
Yeah.
So I think it was most expensive in the beginning, but I feel like with if you're trying to break into a niche, like you're going to invest in some way.
Gotta buy the clothes, gotta buy the
if
equipment.
You're reviewing tech, you know what I mean? You're gonna have to put that money up at some point. So it was very expensive at first. And the way it worked, especially with me and Tyler going to different places, first it was just like general dates, and then it was like, okay, cool, we just kind of, one person gets a tab here, one person gets a tab there, and then we're like, okay, we're spending a ton of money on this, like where else do we want to put our money? And then that's when the offer started to come in a bit more of like, hey, come in, like dine in on us. We've had experiences to where it's been really great. We've had experiences to where it hasn't been the best. I'll say it is best when the offer includes like they're going to tip the server and whatever else, because I think a lot of the time people don't consider like you're driving there, so that's gas. If it's downtown, that's parking, and then you're like putting forth your time editing and whatever else and tipping the server too. Like you come out of pocket more than what you're gaining.
Yeah.
Like essentially it is covering another spot, so it's more content, but I can go review some fries and a burger from McDonald's. You know what I mean? And have that serve as more content, to be completely honest. So it's interesting. But yeah, I have realized that, you know, a lot of restaurants don't have allocated budgets to pay influencers in that way, especially with there being so many food influencers in Austin. And so like you have a restaurant who's local to an area, unless it's like some big chain. So I don't even think they always have the teams who know what that's like. But it should be the exact opposite, because when you think about it, it's different from them putting an ad on radio and going to whatever audience just happens to have it on that day and hoping something sticks.
Especially on radio.
You know what I mean? You're sourcing a personality to attach it to. Everything is essentially in-house for them, unless you've expanded and have an editor. You have that one person editing, shooting, whatever else. And if you were to hire a production team for that, like what would that cost, right? So for that, in comparison, and you're talking to their audience who knows them for this specific niche for food. It's like a target marketing thing. So a lot of the time I'm like, dang, how don't you guys have budget for this? So like, are you running ads on Google? Like, you know, a portion of that should be given to creators if you're asking for that. But it's up and down. I understand like struggling businesses, so I don't press too hard. I'm either available to do it or I'm not.
Do you talk to the business owners and figure out like if
This
they're
is
like
something you guys could do?
Yeah, I have more recently. I've connected with another one of my friends. Her name is the ATX Plug. Check her out. But she's experienced even faster growth than I have. And I told her at one point, like,
I think I know exactly who you're talking about.
Her
I think
name's
I follow.
Antoinette.
Yeah, I think I follow her.
Yeah, she makes videos with her husband from time to time. Cam, they're super cool people. But we had a conversation and we're like, hey, this is a lot of output in addition to what we already do in our normal lives. Like, we need some type of incentive at some point, or we at least owe it to ourselves to ask.
Yeah.
And I remember she shared a conversation with me about a brand she spoke to, a restaurant she spoke with, and they were like, hey, we're able to meet this rate, but like maybe we can do 150 in store credit or restaurant credit, and then 150 in cash. We normally do like trade for profit type of thing. And they were like, we completely respect what you do. We love your value and everything else. Like, we get all of that. This is just what we're working with. So that's an example of having a conversation with the restaurant owners and then really aligning on what they're able to do. And sometimes they're just not able to.
Like setting expectations.
Yeah. But I think you have to ask just to put the conversation out there, because if no one's asking, then it just becomes the norm, and some of us, you know, we need to get paid.
Facts. Well, I kind of want to switch it up because I think the people want to know. I really want to know, you're a big foodie in the ATS community. What are some favorite restaurants?
Oh man,
so let's break this down. Mexican food, which I'm a slut for Mexican food.
Okay.
Mexican food, Italian, American, which I don't even really know what that constitute as.
Okay.
And then if you've had any Lebanese food or Mediterranean food, I'd love that one. We have a couple minutes left, so knock them out. Let's hear them.
Gotcha. I might switch up a little bit.
Do it in whatever order.
Okay. Mediterranean. I'm gonna say Abba.
Oh God, I was hoping you wouldn't say that.
Whipped feta goes crazy.
I love Abba, and I'll make them customize certain things. I'm big on that. If I know flavors taste better together, I'll suggest that. Okay, next one. I don't think you said Caribbean, but I have to say Conje.
Let's get it.
That's like one of my favorites.
Dude, you gotta go there.
I gotta go. I've heard great things
some
about
spicy
it.
chicken that literally it's the jerk chicken.
Ooh, get that some roti, their sauce. That's fire.
Did you go to the Conje festival? Sorry,
I did not, and I saw it. It looked.
I wanted to go.
I saw it on Instagram. I gotta get outside a bit more.
We gotta get.
Italian. I don't eat a lot of Italian food. Mexican.
You don't eat Italian food?
Not a lot. I like it.
What's that one that everyone talks? Sammy's?
The red one is
Sammy's.
I haven't been there. Heard great things
about it. I gotta check that out too.
Yeah. And then Mexican. I'm gonna say something really
controversial. Is this gonna be a hot take?
No, I'm having a hard time thinking of one. I'm just gonna say
Matt's Ranch.
I've had a good experience at ATX Cocina, but I don't.
Well, you got expensive taste buds.
It was a date night, so that was occasion. But yeah, that's the only one I can think of, like off the top.
Dang, I love La Piscina.
La Piscina is so good.
Yo, okay, I got good taste in Mexican food.
Can I switch it? Their fajitas.
Bro, it goes crazy.
Get their fajitas with like shrimp.
La Piscina, shout out La Piscina.
Look at that.
Dang.
Well, shoot, man. We've gotten to the end. An hour just flies by.
Dude, I could talk to this.
I know. I don't like it. The last thing that we'd like to ask everyone is if you could reach out to someone from this episode and leave them with a nugget, what would that nugget be? You can talk to camera too.
Oh, okay. I would probably tell them to start today. Don't overthink it. If you're looking to create content, if you're looking to start a new business venture, like, you don't get ahead without that first step. So start as soon as you can. That's the only way you're going to get somewhere.
I mean, that's the biggest piece of advice that we've learned from every single person that's ever been on this podcast so far, even though we haven't released a freaking episode yet. But it's just putting one foot in front of the other and just starting. I think people just don't start because they either, like, in the, what do you call it, where you're absorbing information, or
Osmosis?
no, what? No, that's no. Where people are just in, like, the discovery.
What you mean?
You know what?
Yeah,
I don't.
Maybe I didn't explain that right.
No, bro. You described osmosis.
All I'm trying to say is just start. Thank you guys for tuning into another episode. I'm your host, Amir.
Co-host Ollie.
Signing out with Rell.
Hey, and we'll see you guys next time on We Are Just Making It. If you watched this episode and there was something that you liked, please share, comment, and share it with someone who would also build or like this episode. If there's someone that you want to see on here, or a friend that you have that has a great story, comment their name. We would love to have them on here. We'll see you guys.